Ms. Phillips, the last thing you had testified to, your sole purpose that night was to get to safety. Is that what you said?
Correct.
Okay. So for everyone hearing your testimony today, that's your sole purpose for that entire night? Is that what you mean in terms of escaping from Mr. Phillips?
When I left.
When you left, and then your actions thereafter?
Judge, objection vague.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead. Be more specific.
So your sole purpose was to get to safety. You're talking about the driveway incident.
Correct.
Was that your sole purpose when you went to the subdivision?
To get to safety?
Yes.
I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know where I was going.
Was that your sole purpose when you went to check into a hotel?
Yes, so that I did not sleep at home, correct.
Was that your sole purpose, or sole consideration, or was that what and I guess, let me rephrase that. Was that a primary consideration after the hotel? Your safety?
Was my safety a primary consideration after the hotel?
After the hotel. When you're getting ready, I guess after the hotel, where you go next?
To Woodman's, you mean, or to the vacant lot?
To Woodman's.
To Woodman's. Well, I went there to use the restroom.
In the vacant lot?
The vacant lot, I went there to sleep because I couldn't get a hotel room.
And you didn't want to go home?
At that point, no, not yet, no.
Because you were concerned about your safety?
Correct.
Did you testify that there wasn't a remote chance that you hit Mr. Phillips with the vehicle?
Did I testify to when?
Just a few
I'm going
moments
to
ago.
It's mischaracterizing my question on direct.
If it wasn't what you asked, you can say no. Go ahead.
Did you indicate or testify in response to Mr. Zacker's question that you didn't think there was a remote chance that you hit Mr. Phillips that night?
Correct.
And you indicated that you don't recall speaking with Deputy Stoetinger the next day, February 23rd.
Was he the first police officer or the second?
I believe he would have been the second.
Honestly, I don't. I remember talking to Mr. Leinfelder.
So you remember Sergeant Valencia?
I remember a police officer coming. I wouldn't have known who he was.
So let me ask this a different way. You witnessed and paid attention to the last 4 days of proceedings. Is that correct?
Correct.
So even if you don't remember from this particular time, you, sitting in court, saw the different witnesses. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you saw Deputy Stoetinger testify.
Yes.
So now you know who that is. Is that correct?
I believe I remember which one he was, yes.
But you don't remember him at the time, at the scene on February 23rd?
I don't recall talking to him. I don't remember going inside with him. That was what I had stated.
Okay. So you don't remember, do you believe then that you would have said or indicated, I didn't hit him or anything, him being Mr. Phillips?
I didn't hit him. That's. Are you asking me if that's what I said?
I'm asking about your statement to Deputy Stoetinger. Is it my understanding? Are you saying that you just don't remember saying that at all?
No. Oh, you have confused me. So can you ask the question again, please?
I can. Deputy Stoetinger, the person who testified, got up and he went up there and he swore to tell the truth, just like you are. And that Deputy Stoetinger, you are saying that you do not remember speaking to him at any time on February 23rd, 2019.
I don't remember going inside with him.
Do you remember speaking with him in the driveway?
Well, I remember him stating that I had advised that I did not hit my husband. Yes, I do know what you're saying.
Okay, so you remember stating that it's not like I hit him or anything.
I said I did not hit him, correct.
Did Deputy Stoetinger imply that you had hit him when you were speaking with him?
No, it was more along the lines of when I said would tell the story, and that Mark ran around, and he's like, and I remember, like, and I'm like, well, I didn't hit him.
So the thought at least had crossed your mind that that could have happened.
When he kind of like questioned, like gave me kind of a weird look, yes, that's why I was like, I didn't hit him.
So Deputy Stoninger gave you a weird look.
In my eyes, yes.
Okay.
Now, yes, I do recall what you're asking me.
Okay, so Deputy Stoninger...
I just don't remember going inside with him. I
No,
apologize.
that's fine. So Deputy Stoninger gave you a weird look.
Like a questionable look, correct?
Okay, and that's what elicited that statement. It's not like I hit him or anything. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Can we not, like, step on each other's?
We can, and I'm sorry. So after Deputy Stoninger gave you that look, did you talk with Investigator Leinfelder after that?
It would have been after that, yes.
Okay. And then after that is when you went to the Home and Police Department. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And at that time, you had, I guess, felt accused, felt like someone was suspicious of you. What were you feeling? I mean, describe this weird look to us.
No, not with Mr. Leinfelder, I didn't know.
Okay.
Not at all.
But you had at least considered that it was suggested that that's what was being thought by Deputy Stoninger.
I just wanted to clear if he did question anything, clear that
And then you do remember going to the Home and Police Department?
I do.
Okay. And was your testimony a few moments ago that while at the Home and Police Department, it was, I guess, your intention to help Investigator Leinfelder, whoever, determine what had happened to Mr. Phillips?
Correct.
Because you didn't know.
Correct.
So you were going to provide as much information as you could,
Yes.
and you were going to make sure that you provided important details.
To my recollection, yes.
And that's why you, oops, go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Are you finished?
Yes.
And that's why you were willing to make a written statement to Investigator Leinfelder.
Absolutely.
And then when you believe that you remembered something that you had left out in that written statement, you supplemented it, right?
I did.
And when we watched the video, that was, and Investigator Leinfelder was reading parts of that statement. That was all accurate. Is that correct?
To my knowledge, it was all accurate, yes.
I'm asking the clerk.
Exhibit number 81.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I am handing what has been marked as Exhibit 89 to Ms. Phillips. Your Honor, the parties had previously stipulated to use an agreed-upon transcript for the purposes of Investigator Leinfelder's interview. Is there any objection to me using that throughout my cross?
I agree that it's authentic.
Go ahead, Ben.
Ms. Phillips, what can you tell me about the camera system? What was your understanding of the camera system as it existed between February 22nd and February 23rd? And I'm asking in terms of how it functioned, what it did.
I mean, it was a camera system that recorded movements.
Okay. So it recorded movements, and you indicated you could live view it. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Ms. Phillips, again, you've had the opportunity, or you've sat through every witness that we've had here
I have.
in trial. And you've seen every piece of evidence that's been presented, is that correct?
Yes.
And you were paying attention?
Yes.
Okay. Would you agree, I guess, I'm asking specifically about the timeline aspect of this case, that there are a lot of moving parts in this case.
Yes.
We have the 2 hotels. We have 2 or 3 bars. We've got your house, right?
Correct.
We've got other locations, correct?
Correct.
We've heard all sorts of texts,
Yes.
internet searches,
Yes.
other things that I'm probably forgetting about, but I mean, you would agree that there's a lot there to that, is that correct?
Yes.
Or would you agree?
I agree.
Okay. Up until this point, do you have any issue with the times of things that have been presented in terms of text messages
No.
or the coming and going from the bar as far as timestamps we've seen?
I don't believe so.
And the arming, disarming, or viewing of security cameras?
No.
Do you recall speaking with Investigator Leinfelder about the security cameras as they were armed or disarmed on February 22nd, 2019?
Do I recall talking to him? I don't know if I recall, but I mean, I can go back to the notes.
Okay. Can you please turn your attention on the exhibit that's been handed to you to line 114?
Okay.
I'm starting with Investigator Leinfelder, and so let me do some more checking. Is it your statement, I just hope the cameras were on? I mean, I don't know if they were or not. I have no idea. Is that an accurate reflection of that, or?
You said 114?
Yeah,
It's
I'm
not
confused.
one. Yeah.
What page?
So, Judge, I'm using the line number on the right-hand side.
Okay, explain it to the witness. I don't have it, so I don't know what you're referring to.
But
Attorney Zach.
where are you? 1014.
Yes. I think I might have figured out the problem. Ms. Phillips, can you hold up that exhibit, please?
Hold it up.
Yes. So I'm looking at the lines on the left-hand side. 1014. 1014.
Oh.
Sorry.
Hold on. Where Fritz says, and so let me do some more checking?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the 1015, Lori Phillips, I just hope the cameras were on. I mean, I don't know if they were or not. I have no idea.
Correct.
And then at 1018, do you say, I'm assuming they were if I had to turn the cameras off to come home?
Correct.
So you had armed the cameras at 11:08 p.m., is that correct?
If that's what the time was, yes. And obviously when I did all this, I wasn't thinking clearly, so.
So you weren't thinking clearly?
Correct.
So when you were asked that question, you just didn't remember?
No, I just assumed that if I had to turn them off, that they were on.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
So you don't recall turning them on at 11:08 the night before, or you didn't recall them when you spoke to Investigator Leinfelder?
Correct. When I talked to Investigator Leinfelder, I didn't remember that part. Correct.
Okay. And you didn't remember checking the live feeds?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. To me, it made sense when I talked to him that if I had to disable the cameras to go home, that they were on. That's what I'm saying.
So I guess, is it your hope then when you made that statement that the cameras were on during the incident with the driveway? Is that?
I was hoping they were on, correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Because when you spoke with Investigator Leinfelder, you didn't remember that you yourself had armed them at 11:08.
That is correct.
Had you calmed down by that point? And by calm down, I'm referring to, I'll ask that in a different way. We saw you were emotional when the arrival on scene. We saw you were emotional at the house.
Correct?
And that was understandable because as you testified, you just discovered your husband's.
Correct.
Did you, I guess, have an opportunity? What was your emotional state during the interview with Investigator Leinfelder?
I mean, obviously I was still shook up, but I was trying to give him what he needed so I could go back home and be with my family.
Okay. Is it safe to say that you were at least more calm when you met with Investigator Leinfelder?
At the home and police department, yes. Like I said, I wanted to give him as much information as I could so I could go.
And you had already spoken to friends and family at that point?
Yes, I had people at the home.
And your friend Kimmy is the one who drove you?
Yes, she did.
Touching up on the end of your testimony, your direct examination, sorry. We saw pictures of the bruises again, and you remember that?
Yes.
The picture of the one on your leg, didn't you indicate yesterday that that was from you slipping out of the truck or hitting that foot rail or something?
I said that could be the possibility from that one, yes.
Okay, so you didn't specifically say that that was not Mr. Phillips?
I said it could have been from the step rail.
Ms. Phillips, I want to walk you through different things we've kind of heard about throughout your direct examination. Starting at Sloopy's. That was the first place that everyone had went to. Is that accurate?
Correct.
And you had went to Sloopy's with Hannah. Hannah and Adam Stevens were there? Hannah and Adam Stevens were at Sloopy's?
They met us there, correct.
Okay, and that was early?
That was early.
And is that when everyone had started drinking?
Yes.
And did that include yourself?
Yes.
But everything at Sloopy's was okay?
Everything at Sloopy's was great.
And you went to the dive bar at about what time?
I want to say the drawing was at like 7 maybe, so we would have gotten there probably right before that.
And at what point in the dive bar did things, I guess, start to escalate with Mr. Phillips?
I mean, I don't know time-wise, but it would have been when we met up with Scott Cundy.
Okay. So you don't remember the exact time?
No.
Do you recall when the first incident of physical violence was with Mr. Phillips? About when?
Time?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
When we left the bar.
Okay. The dive bar?
The first time we left the dive bar, yes.
Okay. So the first time you left the dive bar, that is the first incident of physical violence with Mr. Phillips?
Correct.
And not to make you just re-testify from yesterday, but what was the first time he put hands on you that night? The one you're talking about right now at the dive bar?
When he brought me back to the dive bar.
So you're at the dive bar at this point, or you've left the dive bar?
The first time Mark put hands on me is when he brought me back to the dive bar.
Okay. And that was in the truck or outside the truck?
In the truck.
Okay. And it was parked? The truck was parked?
Yes.
And at this particular time, can you remind me this particular incident, what he had done?
That's when he jumped over on top of me and was strangling me and yelling at me and on top of me.
So you're in the passenger seat?
I'm in the passenger seat. He jumped over from the driver's side.
From the driver's seat?
Correct.
Okay. And I want to clarify kind of, when you said strangled, I can't do it as well as Mr. Zacher, so correct me, but I guess it was like a forearm hold or it was a choke hold, or I didn't understand that. Could you please describe it for me?
He was using his forearm.
So you use his right forearm or his left forearm? Don't know?
I have no idea.
Was Mr. Phillips right or left-handed?
He was right-handed.
Okay. So he uses his forearm, and that goes up against your neck area, is that?
Correct.
Okay. And then he, applies pressure?
Yes.
Okay. And you're being pushed into the door?
No, in between the seats. Like, he's actually pushing me towards his side, his seat. It was in between the seats. Not towards the door.
So, okay. So I think if I understand correctly, so he has actually gotten out of the driver's seat and is on top of you at this point?
Correct.
Okay. So he's on top of you, pushing backwards towards in between the seats, towards his side?
Correct.
Okay. And then after that, you exit the car or the truck, and then that's when you go back into the dive bar, or is that?
Correct.
Okay. So, Ms. Phillips, after the dive bar, I guess, and like I said, there's a lot of moving parts in this case. I'm trying to figure out, and again, not to just make you retestify. So at this point, how inebriated do you think Mr. Phillips is?
Okay, the first time when we came back to the dive bar, you mean?
I'm talking
When?
right after he gets out of the truck. That he just had this incident where he used his forearm, got on top of you, and applied pressure to your neck.
He didn't get out of the truck then. But how inebriated do I think he was?
Mm-hmm.
Clearly more so than I thought. But, I mean, I don't know how you want me to monitor that.
So you remember answering Mr. Zacher's questions? His
Yes.
yes.
Your Honor, can we approach?
These are your questions.
We need to approach.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, Ms. Phillips, during your testimony yesterday, you made a lot of representations about how inebriated Mr. Phillips was, what you thought about it, what that meant to you, things like that. Do you recall that?
I recall saying that Mark's a different person when he's drunk, if that's what you're referring to.
You refer, he's a different person, and, there's different levels of inebriation. Do you remember that for him?
Yeah, I mean, there's like buzzed and then there's drunk, yes.
So, yeah, buzzed drunk is fun. Buzzed Mark
Yes.
is fun Mark.
Yes,
And drunk Mark is a problem.
correct.
And Mark who does shots is a problem.
100%.
And Mark, I guess at some point when you said is annihilated, that was a problem.
Absolutely.
And at some point at the dive bar, he gets, per your words, annihilated. Is that correct?
I would say that would be at the end after like even doing shots and continuing to drink, yes.
Okay. So you have an understanding, based on the scale that we've just talked about, how drunk Mr. Phillips is. At any, at time. I mean, you know indicators, you know the way he looks, you know the way he smells, you know the different way he starts talking to you. I mean, things like that, right?
That is correct.
So at this particular time, how inebriated do you think he is?
Well, okay, so I would say he was drunk, but I've seen him much drunker before at that point.
Okay.
Because sober Mark wouldn't have done that.
Sober Mark wouldn't have done that.
Correct.
And now he has put hands on you. Is that correct?
Correct.